This episode was brought to you by Opera GX.
We all love YouTuber apologies, and if you're thinking to yourself, Charlie, I don't like YouTuber apologies, well then you're lying to yourself, and more importantly, you're lying to me and you make me sick to my stomach, make me want to spit. Everybody loves YouTuber apologies. It's a timeless and a staple on the internet. Nobody says I'm sorry more than YouTubers. YouTubers apologize more than a child whose parents just caught him with his hand in the cookie jar. So today I'll be looking at some famous YouTuber apologies and them on a tier list, so get a box of tissues out because some of these are real tear jerkers. The first apology we'll be looking at is actually historically significant. It is the Fine Brothers React apology. This was kind of the progenitor of YouTube apologies and really set the bar low, extremely low, for every apology that would soon follow, and it really just kind of kicked everything off, really the genesis of YouTubers apologizing. Now, the Fine Brothers React channel is kind of like a fossil these days, because luckily people have finally stopped watching that god-awful show, and in 2016, the Fine Brothers were at the height of their popularity. The React series is basically where they just take random people, kids, teens, adults, sit them down and show them memes, and then ask them one question, what did you think of the video? And that's the entire show, and it went on for years, and it used to be super popular when the internet was still this magical, mystical thing nobody understood. And the Fine Brothers, in all of their greed, with little dollar signs in their eyes like Mr. Krabs, decided, let's copyright this. The Fine Brothers themselves are personality-less androids, and when they saw the YouTube community start to react to content, they began to panic and get a little swamp ass going in their diaper with cold sweat. So they did what they thought was the only play they could do. Try and capitalize off it by copywriting the React format, because all they have is the React format, because they can't rely on themselves actually, like, being entertaining, so they just pull in random people to react it. And react is the wrong word, because the people just sit there silently and then say, yep, video was good. It's dog. I've never liked the React series, but that's what they had. And when other people were reacting to videos and adding personality to them, they wanted to get their fingers into that pie. So they wanted to copyright it, and you'd have to go through them for their React format, they called it. And it just led to this whole big mess where the internet was outraged. Like, how can you trademark and copyright reacting to and making jokes about, like, they don't own that? And in their announcement about it with React World, they just used very vague terms which scared everyone, that made them think they were going to strike down any videos that reacted to anything. And it was just a huge mess. And they never really did a good job explaining it, but they did do an apology where they basically just said it's your fault for not understanding our huge IQ play. And in their apology video, they come off extremely insincere and like Tommy Wiseau levels of acting. The Fine Bros have actually made a movie of their own called F the Prom, and it's a terrible movie, and it looked like this was an audition for roles in the movie from these two. It is really poorly acted, it seems, and it just came across as like three of them just blaming the... And they even said things like, we should have used simpler analogies to help you better understand what was going on, making it sound like everyone was just so dumb that we couldn't quite comprehend their galaxy brain analogies, and they needed to put it in a simpler terms for us, like, oh, imagine React content is the vegetable paste on your mother's spoon, and she's flying the airplane into your mouth, and that mouth is the React world. You know, it was just a garbage apology, and for that, I'm giving it a nice B tier. Because on the tier list of YouTuber apologies, I think this one is historically significant. I genuinely believe this was where it all started. This was the patient zero of YouTuber apologies, and they did an incredible job of setting the tone for how YouTuber apologies would be from this point. But one thing you'll never have to feel sorry about is your web browser. I'm talking today about a new browser called Opera GX, which is the first web browser designed for gamers, with gamers at the forefront of every design choice. Now, I'm not saying that using Opera GX is going to improve your KD and make you a world championship in your favorite esports game. I'm just saying if you do happen to improve your KD and become a world champion while using Opera GX, it's probably not a coincidence. Opera GX has a ton of changes to web browsers that make it much better for gaming performance. For example, let's say you're kicking back and having a hard gaming session, you have a ton of tabs open on Chrome, some of them are playing music. That can oftentimes lag your game and just tank the performance, but that's not going to happen with Opera GX. With a feature called GX Control, you can have a bunch of tabs open without hurting your gaming performance. The panel lets users limit their CPU or RAM that they're willing to let their browser use, and there's also a network limiter which limits network bandwidth used by by OperaGX so you can gain performance in games and streams. There's Twitch and Discord integration, which allows you to log in directly to those accounts just from the sidebar of the browser. And you can design and customize the OperaGX browser. And another really cool feature is the Force Dark Pages functionality, which just puts pages you visit into dark mode so that you're not just blasted by blinding light from some of the pages you visit. So if you're interested in trying OperaGX, you can click the link in the description below to get started. Next up is Tana Mongeau. I don't really know why people watch her or what content she even makes. 3 out of every 4 videos she uploads is her apologizing for some more terrible dumb that she does. She's pretty much a magnet for every bad decision you can make online put into one person. She's done a lot of racist in her past. She had TanaCon, which was a complete disaster where she like rented out a small lobby in a hotel next to a dumpster, and then people had to like snake around outside in the scorching heat and people were getting heat stroke. And then when she finally showed up, all she did was like twerk for 30 seconds and leave, and nobody got what they were promised, and it was a terrible disaster. So she apologized for that for like 8 videos, and like 6 of them were a Shane Dawson series on it. I mean, her entire channel is like the Netflix of apologies. It would be impossible to choose one for the tier list. So I'm just going to put Tana Mongeau on here as like an actual person, because she is like a singularity for which all drama is in and then turned into a terrible apology. So Tana Mongeau is going to sit on this tier list at a comfortable A tier. Tana Mongeau is constantly apologizing, giving apology enthusiasts tons of content to work with. She's apologizing for heinous that she's done because she continues to do terrible, horrible things. So she's got more terrible and horrible things to apologize for, and she does it horribly. I mean, it is this incredible cycle of continuing to make mistakes and not taking responsibility for them, but pretending that you kind of did. It's incredible. So when it comes to YouTuber apologies, she is the superstar. Nobody is apologizing more frequently than Tana Mongeau, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. She is holding that world title belt, I imagine, so easily an A-tier YouTube apologizer. Next up, we have RiceGum's apology for promoting a mystery box company aimed at getting kids to buy a box full of wet farts. You get basically nothing out of the box for a high price, and he fell into some hot water for promoting it. And of course, RiceGum, being the pathetic worm that he is, makes an apology video where he basically just says it's not a big deal and you guys are wrong for getting outraged, and then gives away some Amazon gift cards that he personally used over a year ago. So he didn't even give away valid Amazon gift cards. The man sucks. This is an easy F tier. RiceGum himself is like a human F. Everything that man does is an F tier. If a gas station toilet could speak, it would have more interesting things to say than RiceGum. I've never liked him or his content. I've always found him to be one of the biggest douchebags online. So this one's very easy to just there at an F tier. Next up is T. Martin's famous apology for the CSGO Lotto scandal. This involved more than just T. Martin. It also involved Syndicate, and those were really the 2 big ones here. A huge CSGO Lotto was a gambling site that was used for CSGO and promoted by these people without them ever mentioning that they directly were involved with the site as owners. And when this came to light, I mean, it's a big deal. It's illegal to not disclose that you have an affiliation with that site or an ownership of the site. And there was this huge outrage about it, and T. Martin, in response, makes an apology video where he just brings his dog on, he gives his dog some little nuzzles on the nose, trying to make people seem like, hey, look, I'm human too, I love animal. And then look in the background, I have a monster truck parked outside because I'm richer than you because I scammed your kids on CSGO. It's an apology video where he never takes responsibility. He says that, you know, things like, hey, I made it clear I own the site, I made it clear, even though there's plenty of evidence to prove that it was never disclosed, his actual involvement with the site. And it was just a huge deal, and the apology video is basically just spent with him rubbing wealth in the face of his, and again blaming them for not knowing that he and his friends owned it. So it's a great apology video because it does exactly what YouTuber apologies aim to do, which is take no responsibility and blame them for being dumb. It seems like most YouTubers think they're the dumbest people on the planet, so when they apologize, it really comes out, and T. Martin was pulling no punches with how dumb he thought the people that watch him are. And to be fair, if you're still watching T. Martin, you probably are pretty dumb. T. Martin's apology, I'm putting it a C tier because it's pretty much the epitome of a YouTuber bad apology. It hits all of the beats and tries like bringing a dog in to make it more emotional, which is like some South Park. It really went in on being a bad apology. So I think that's definitely a comfortable C tier. Next up, we have one of the most entertaining apology videos, Laura Lee's apology video, where she was apologizing for racist tweets that surfaced from her past. Laura Lee gets on camera and does her absolute best to summon tears from her eyes for 5. She's trying to be like a tier sorcerer, where she's trying her absolute best to just conjure a little moisture in her eyes to make it seem sincere that she's sorry for whatever she's apologizing for, but she just can't do it. So she does like little fake moans and like tries to wipe her eyes, like scratch her eyes and make them forcefully, you know, leak some water and fluid, but she just can't. So it's 5 of Laura Lee struggling to cry while trying to apologize and say how sorry she is. It is a beautiful disaster of an apology video. Truly one of the best. This, easy S tier. Laura Lee's apology, absolutely an S tier. It is wonderful, and there's really nothing else like it in the apology community on YouTube. It's really some incredible stuff. Next one on the tier list is J-Station's apology following the stunt he pulled where his girlfriend was dead, or I've already forgotten. To be honest, all of the J-Station is so incredibly stale. It was fun at the time, but it's just so played out and tired. I don't even remember his apology, and I don't feel like going back and watching it, to be honest. All I know is that if it's J-Station, it's just not interesting, so I'm just going to put this at an F tier. I think that's safe. I don't think there was anything wild about his apology, considering I've totally forgotten its existence until today. And I think F tier just fits. Now we move on to the absolute most popular YouTuber apology that currently exists on the platform. It is Logan Paul's apology for filming a dead man hanging from a tree in the suicide forest. Logan Paul, for those that don't remember, not too long ago, filmed a dead man hanging from a tree and posted it as part of his vlog. Like a sick, he used that as part of the entertainment of the vlog. He'd be like, "Oh, it's a dead body! Whoa, it's a real dead body, guys! Buy the Maverick merch! Woohoo! Maverick merch, baby! Dead man over there!" I'm honestly still surprised he didn't go over there and just start putting Maverick merch on the corpse, to be honest. It was some disgusting, and it caused a huge backlash for Logan Paul, and really the platform as a whole. It was just damaging to pretty much everything and everyone around him. So then Logan Paul made an apology in response to it, being the most popular apology to ever be posted, where he just says he's made a severe lapse in his judgment and it is bad and he's sorry. It was straight, it was to the point, there's really not a whole lot to dig into with the apology itself. It's just the most popular one ever posted with 58 million views, and he's apologizing for perhaps the most disgusting thing anyone's apologized for on YouTube so far. Literally filming and making fun of a dead body in a suicide forest. Like, that is super dubbed. So the apology itself isn't the most wild or crazy apology. It's just the whole magnitude of the entire situation, I think, leads it to being a B tier at least apology. So I'm thinking B tier for the Logan Paul apology. Next up we have another big one. This is Social Repose's apology for cheating on another YouTuber named Jacqueline Glenn. And I actually made a video on this one where I called it the worst apology on YouTube. And to be honest, it still just might be. The drama here that he's apologizing for is he cheated on his girlfriend. If I remember correctly, it was multiple instances of cheating on his girlfriend, and his apology was basically not apologizing. If I remember correctly, he didn't even say I'm sorry a single time, and instead kind of put it on to her, saying that she just got too attached. She loved him too much, so he had to somebody else. It is still, to this day, perhaps one of the most unbelievable apologies to ever be posted. It is baffling how anybody could have watched that apology and been like, "Yup, I look pretty good here and I think I've cleared myself up." It's terrible. It is still absolutely horrible, and it is hard to sit through. It really is. So I think this apology from Social Repose deserves an A tier in just how terrible and horrible it is, because it is wild. It is still wild to me that this ever got posted. I'm pretty sure he took it down, but the fact that it was even up for any length of time, it's crazy to me. Next up, we have Tati's recent apology. I think the makeup community drama is extremely boring. Each one of them is making like 40 to 50 planet Earth leveled about some petty drama that happens, and it is hard to sit through. And Tati's most recent apology was no exception. Unnecessarily long, full of a lot of fake tears and moments of sincerity. It just doesn't work. It was not a good apology, and especially because the entire drama was about her, Jeffree Star, and Shane Dawson attacking James Charles because they wanted to serve him a slice of humble pie, as Shane puts it. It was terrible. All the drama was super dumb. And then Tati comes out of nowhere, like over a year later, talking about, like, "I finally have the strength to go through this. This one's for my family. I'm finally gonna go over what happened last year." And the whole drama was they just wanted a young man's career because they didn't like him or were jealous. Like, it's not like you were some kind of hero coming out of, you know, the heavens to grace us with this apology video and an explanation. Like, it just made no sense, and the apology video is super boring. I definitely think this is a D tier, for sure. The last one we'll be covering on the tier list today is Daddy05's apology. For those that don't remember Daddy05, you're very lucky. Daddy05 was a YouTube channel where a man and wife were abusing their kids for YouTube views. They were absolutely horrible to their own kids, one in particular where they would mistreat them for the sake of YouTube pranks. It was absolutely disgusting. It was truly abominable. That went on for way too long, flying under the radar. It finally picked up steam and things were finally settled, where I believe that kid that was singled out and picked on the most was taken out of their care, thankfully, and their channels were shut down. So luckily it had a happy ending, but Daddy05, before the end, before the ship finally sank, made an apology video, and he still doesn't quite understand what people had an issue with. His apology doesn't address the blatant abuse that they filmed and posted. They would mistreat their kids for all to see, and yet they couldn't register it. They called them jokes and pranks and that people just didn't get it. And then their apology, they're like, well, if I didn't know these people, I'd think it was bad too. But knowing us, we know it's not bad, and the kids like it. So in the apology, it's basically them just saying, you have to know us to understand it. And the fact you don't know us, yeah, I guess we understand why you thought we were actually horrible parents. But there's nothing joking when kids are getting tossed around, yelled and screamed at, lied to, forced to stay home on adventures just because they didn't like the kid. Like, it's terrible, terrible. And I actually think it is genuinely... So I'm super glad that Daddy05 no longer exists, but the apology video is still out there. And for that, the Daddy05 apology goes into F tier because it's absolutely just disgusting. It really is. That whole channel was unbelievably bad. Really bad. So these are the 10 apologies we wanted to cover on the tier list. I think these were really the 10 biggest ones that I could recall. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.
What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I'm making this to say that I'm sorry. I was wrong. Up. Last year, T. Martin made an apology video where he almost kind of apologized for scamming 8-year-olds into wasting money on his CSGO website, and I called it the worst apology video that could have ever been made, and I was wrong, because Social Repos has blown that out of the water with this new humdinger here. So this man right here who looks like Marilyn Manson is a YouTuber by the name of Social Repos, and he was dating another YouTuber named Jacqueline Glynn, and he cheated on her, and obviously she's very upset, so she made a video about the whole situation to update people, and that prompted him to make his own response to it, and it's abysmal. I'm not going to make the bold claim I did last year and say it's the worst that could be ever given on this site, but damn, you're going to have a hard time topping this one. You've got your work cut out for you if you're trying to make a bad apology this year.
Yeah, up. I'm definitely going to lose some fans. I'm going to lose some friends. You know, but there's two sides to every story. I wouldn't really call this a defense.
Never thought this day would come. A YouTuber just made an apology video worse than Sienna May's iconic interpretive dance. For those that don't remember, Sienna May was a TikToker accused of... And for some reason, she marched into the mines of Mordor and hatched the most diabolical plan of all time, forged the worst video apology ever, where it was an interpretive dance apology. So she starts boogieing out there, doing some of this, a little bit of these, and by God, I'm ashamed to say it, but she even did some of this. Just kind of downplaying the entire situation. And keep in mind, it was accusations that also had a video as well. So there was a ton of evidence, and she still just tried to do like an apology interpretive dance. I did not think there would ever come a time that someone makes a worse response than that. But hooey, how wrong I was.
Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face. I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break. So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
That bleeding in your ears is normal. This is a ukulele apology video. She's turned her accusations and her response into a Disney musical number here, I suppose. She's got a whole little Broadway moment here to sing and talk about it. Now, before getting into it, let me give some context on what she's apologizing for. Colleen Ballinger is most known for her Miranda Sings character. If you've been on YouTube for a long time, you've definitely heard that name before. She was a superstar on the platform. She even had her own Netflix show. And recently, another YouTuber named Adam McIntyre has really started to spearhead this information about her past and everything that's happened to them, as well as the group chat that she used to have with a lot of her fans that were minors, and the way she conducted herself. She's been accused of like asking for ass pics from her fans, and again, most of these fans were minors at the time. She'd even send really weird videos to them. It's just, there's been a ton of evidence of very unacceptable. So she's been accused of like grooming as well as being a predator, and this video that she made is her response to those very serious allegations.
All aboard the toxic gossip train. You're chugging down the tracks of misinformation. The toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station.
Nah, she's giving us a one-way ticket to defecation station, because this is some here. I don't know how she thought this was a good idea at all. She doesn't even disprove any of the allegations. She just calls it the toxic gossip train, like it's some kind of little musical number out of Magic School Bus or that she's not taking seriously. In the face of very serious claims, she decides to put on the entire clown outfit and grab her trusty ukulele and go to battle. But it's not really a battle because she doesn't even really tackle any of the claims. She doesn't refute anything or defend herself. She just makes a song.
Toxic gossip train. Tie me to the tracks and harass me for my past. Cause rumors look like facts. If you don't mind the gaps, I won't survive in the crash. But hey, at least you're having fun.
I'm sorry to keep pausing this so frequently, I just have so much to say, and trust me, I'm really doing you a favor with all of these breaks here to give you a brief, like, respite from the unbelievable cringe. Like, this is some pure, undiluted, unhinged delusion here. This is so strong, I feel like it needs to be added to the periodic table, like the element of delusion that she is displaying here. Like, this song is haunted, honestly. This is like that track out of Courage the Dog with Velvet Vic, where, like, sucks you into the record player. That's this song, but it sucks you into a group chat where she's, like, asking about your first period and asking for pics. But the reason I'm pausing it here is because this is she falls back on a lot in the song, and I don't want to just keep playing too much of the song. She seems to think that a lot of people are taking pleasure in watching all of this and says, like, oh, it's all untrue, but you're just doing it because it's entertaining and you're having fun. I've never fully understood that perspective because I imagine most people don't have fun learning that people they grew up watching or people they were at least of being a big influence turned out to be absolute groomers, predators, all these horrible things. Like, no one has fun with accusations like that, I don't think. Certainly not the victims of it. The victims of Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger here, definitely aren't having any fun here. This has been mentally damaging that they've carried for a long time. Now, I do think there is an argument to be made about, like, YouTuber apologies as entertainment. I made a whole tier list on it. There is an element of fun to watching a completely disconnected from reality weirdo do like Miranda Sings has done with this singing apology. It's hard not to point and laugh at the absolute insanity of that situation. But in those cases, no one's laughing about the actual allegations. Nobody wants someone in a position of power like Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger, to turn out to be a groomer or a predator.
Hi everyone. I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things. Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say.
Holy, she's done it. She's activating 100% of her brain. What an incredible loophole. Checkmate, lawyers. Her legal team must have been there like, no! She got us. How did we not think of that? We never said she couldn't sing it. Damn, she's good.
Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way. where I was just trying to be besties with everybody. There were times in the DMs when I would overshare details of my life, which was really weird of me. I haven't done that for years, you see, because I changed my behavior and I took accountability. Let's go on the toxic gossip train.
If you have anything to refute the claims, why don't you present it instead of doing your little talent show ukulele act? She's saying that this video, in the beginning of the song, she's saying that she's only going to be talking about the facts, and then provides nothing. The facts must have been out of town during the filming of this because she does not present them at all. She doesn't provide anything to refute any of the claims. All she does is say like, no, that's all wrong. Those aren't the facts. You guys are falling for the toxic gossip train. Misinformation super duper station. Whatever. Like, she doesn't actually provide any evidence, any counterpoints, nothing. All she does is just say that it's a lie. That's it. And I guess you're just supposed to take her at her word because she's singing it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is just invalidating to all of her victims. Like, she is like actually like laughing in their face with this video, I feel. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I don't understand how she thought this could possibly be perceived in any meaningful, positive way. Because again, she doesn't defend herself. She doesn't refute any of the claims of all of like the grooming accusations. If she thinks that all of this is overblown or incorrect, why wouldn't she come with her evidence to support that and say like, nope, this is where all of this is wrong, this is where it's false, this is where you've been lied to and manipulated. She doesn't do that. All she has here is this dumb little song. I just can't even wrap my head around the thought process.
In all seriousness, I do think it's really important to hold people accountable for their mistakes. You know, we should hope that everyone can learn from their mistakes and grow and change their behavior and be a better person. And this is what I've always tried to do when I make mistakes, and that I will continue to try to do. What? Oh, you don't care? Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality, is it? No. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise while you dramatize your lies and monetize their demise.
Once again, this is just like on the victims that have come. There are tons and tons of messages as well as videos, like just an overwhelming amount of evidence that's all pretty damning on Colleen Ballinger's behavior from these group chats, as well as just a lot of other things over the years. And in the song, she just reduces that to, I was just a weird loser sending cringe. It was just a goofball doing loser weird stuff. And then still has the audacity to sing about how she's taking accountability. What the f? That's the opposite of accountability. You're minimizing, downplaying the very real harm you caused to your underage fans through these group chats, these interactions, and all this that you said and sent. That's not taking accountability. You are literally doing the exact opposite by saying, like, it's really not that big of a deal, it's just kind of weird, that's all. And then she goes in to just say about, like, this is just directly on the victims. She goes then into the next part saying that the reason there's a mob mentality is because they're coming with all of these lies to monetize her demise because they don't like her. Well, Colleen Ballinger, let's supersize the McDonald's fries here. You're insane. What are you talking about? How could you even, like, actually put this out there? I don't know how she could not only write this song, perform this song, and this is definitely not her first take, so go through this song multiple times, edit it, and then post this without realizing just how... I don't even know the right word. It's like almost downright she comes across. Because, again, this is like spitting in the face of all of the victims that have come with a ton of evidence against her, saying it's not a big deal, they're wrong, they're just doing it for clout. It's so sickening.
Yeah. I feel like I can already hear the comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. Oh, she's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that all of you are perfect, so please criticize me. Bring out the daggers made from your perfect past and stab me repeatedly in my bony little back.
This is gonna come as a surprise, this is gonna be shocking. But yeah, most people aren't making mistakes like this. This isn't one of those like whoops-a-daisy mistakes that everyone makes in their life. Most normal people are going to go through their life without ever doing anything close to what you're accused of doing. Talking with minors in a group chat, sending used underwear to kids. The list goes on, and she beats this point home about like how she's just made like a little mistake here and it doesn't make her a bad person. But this is, again, one of those mistakes that like actually does make you a bad person. This isn't like a little mistake.
Like, she makes it sound like, oh, you don't have the right to criticize me because you're not perfect, your past isn't perfect. But most people's past isn't exactly one that's plagued by degeneracy like this. So, no one's perfect, of course, but that doesn't mean that people don't have the right to criticize you for just how ridiculously awful the shit that you are accused of doing is, and also how terrible this response is.
I'm sure you're disappointed in my little song. I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna take that route of admitting to lies and rumors that you made up for clout.
Once again, just hawking a big fat loogie in the face of every victim that came here. If these are all lies and just rumors, why don't you prove your side of it? Why don't you provide any evidence beyond just a song that says things without showing things or proving things? There is nothing presented here that refutes a single claim at all. She's just singing things. And that's it. That's not evidence. The video and song goes on for like another 4 or 5, but she just keeps saying the same thing about how it's all lies and manipulation, but she doesn't prove any of that. Why wouldn't you want to like actually clear your name? I don't know what she thought this song would do. It doesn't offer any kind of explanation for anything to clear up what she's calling lies and rumors. It's nothing. There is mountains of like actual messages and videos of her engaging in very, very bad behavior, very awful things, which has led to people labeling her things like a groomer and a predator, which she really doesn't like, but that's what all of these lead point, and she does nothing to refute any of it except make this absolutely song out of it. It's baffling. I couldn't believe this today. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to play the rest of the video because she just keeps saying, it's all lies, it's just rumors, it's ridiculous, I can't believe you guys fell for it. But doesn't provide any kind of actual counterpoints or evidence or anything, so it's useless. This is, I do think, the new worst YouTuber apology video, and that's not an easy feat to have accomplished, so that's wild. That's really about it. So yeah. We were overdue for a little internet wackiness, and you were looking a little, so allow me to feed you some vitamin D drama. If I asked you to tell me the most iconic YouTube video you can think of, I imagine a lot of you would default to some of the timeless like Numa Numa, maybe Harlem Shake. But I do think there's a not small number of people that will immediately go to a little more recent. The now infamous Colleen Ballinger ukulele apology video. Now I know what you're thinking, Charles Dagnabbit, that was 2 months ago, that's ancient history, that milk has spoiled, why are we talking about it now? Well, it's because JoJo Siwa just came out to defend her against everything that's happened and calls it a lie.
Speaking of friends, are you, and if I'm wrong, are you friends with Colleen Ballinger still?
Yeah,
What do you say about that?
I've known Colleen for since I was 12.
Now, I recognize on the internet things move faster than me on a basketball court. It's always going a million miles per hour, so there's a good chance a lot of you forgot why Colleen Ballinger even got in trouble in the first place. So I'll give you a brief refresher. Colleen Ballinger is the woman behind the Miranda Sings brand, and recently, 2 months ago, it came to light that she had a history of talking and acting inappropriately with underage fans, even sending some extremely disturbing and inappropriate videos to children in her, and a lot of other very awful allegations and accusations against her and the way she acts around children. So for JoJo Siwa to come on here and immediately start by saying that she's known Colleen since she was 12, that to me is just another big red flag. Like, this is the worst possible way of starting your defense of someone if you're trying to prove they're innocent and everything was a lie. She just openly admits that when she was 12 years old, she was friends with an adult woman. When JoJo Siwa was 12, Colleen would have still been an adult. That is very weird. The creep sirens should be blaring. An adult influencer befriending children in there is not normal, healthy, or a good thing. Especially because Colleen, as she herself admits, had no boundaries, so would share everything with these children that she considered friends, such as, like, it was very, very not good. And here's JoJo just confirming that, hey, I was one of those 12-year-olds that was friends with this adult woman.
I would imagine if you're friends with her, you kind of met her when you were young?
I was 12 when I met her.
And
she's always been nothing but kind to me. Her family, nothing but kind to me. The internet can take a lie and run so far with it, so far that it's to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
What lie? Can you point it out and set the record straight? What fib has Hulkmania run wild with? Because in this statement, in this exact same sentence here, you just confirmed one of the big accusations about the adult woman, Colleen Ballinger, befriending children. And there's a bunch of videos and messages that have all come out with things she would send to these children, and it's not good. Are those the lies? Is that all fake? Just deep fakes and all of the messages and victims aren't real? They're paid actors pretending? Like, I would love to know what it is here. Now, full disclosure, I'm not super familiar with JoJo Siwa. It's a name I've heard a lot. I know she's a huge child celebrity. So if I may pose a thought experiment here, do you think it's possible that Colleen Ballinger was extremely nice to you and her family extremely nice to you, JoJo, because you were already a celebrity? So she knew if she was creepy and weird and saying things to you, that could be a big deal because you had a platform that could call to light these awful actions. So perhaps she gave you special treatment because if she did do all of the degenerate she was doing with the other children she befriended, there was a chance that you could cause a lot of problems for her by revealing it publicly. But I could be totally off my rocker here, lost my marbles. At the end of the day, it's just a theory, a game theory. Just to marinate up here in the old noodle to think on. But regardless, an adult influencer befriending a child fan is weird. Full stop. Like, that is still just a weird thing to do.
And I've had that happen to me. And I know Colleen very, very, very well. And I think the work that Colleen has done for the internet is incredible. I think her creativity is incredible. Miranda Sings is a character, is a comedian.
Comedian is a word we're using very loosey-goosey here, but even still, there's not exactly anything side-splitting, gut-busting hilarious about an adult sending videos and messages to kids in a group chat. That's not exactly a top 10 ha-ha laughs moment. That's just gross. So you can't really just excuse it at all as like, she's playing a character, you know, just being a comedian. It doesn't really work here. And once again, you should not know Colleen Ballinger very, very well. You were a child. You were 12 years old. You should not know intricate details about this adult influencer's life who is a stranger to you. You're not like related or anything. You shouldn't have been friends to begin with. That in and of itself, I believe, is a problem.
And I think that it's very hard to be a character where people are also looking at you as you're a real human behind that character. And I think being a comedian is very hard because you were able to do things years ago that were okay, and now that we've grown and we've matured, we've realized that they're not okay. You know what I mean?
Like, in and of itself, that statement's not entirely wrong. Of course, things were different, like, 15 years ago on the internet. Like, some of the videos then have not aged well and would be very differently in terms of their perception today. But I don't recall there ever being a time in the internet's history where it was looked at in a positive light with an adult sending to children. That's never really been, that's been written off as just comedy. So, this is kind of a nothing statement here, and by no means does this defend her at all or prove her innocence. You said that the internet ran with a lie, but now, instead of trying to prove that it's a lie, you're just saying, things were different a while ago, and now that we've matured, things aren't okay like that anymore. It's like, well, what the are you actually even trying to say with this? I don't think JoJo herself knows. She just doesn't want to accept that someone that she was close with was actually just not a good person, I think.
But you, as somebody who's been in the public eye for a long time,
Yes.
do you think that it is appropriate to communicate openly with everybody that reaches out to you?
No, I don't think that communicating with fans is you got to be careful to not
And that's what I'm saying,
to
like,
not blur a friend fan line. It's very tough.
Howie seems to get it, and it doesn't seem like he wants to ruffle any feathers here, so he's being as light with this as possible, tiptoeing around it a bit. But he recognizes that perhaps we should be calling attention to the obvious elephant in the room, that adults in a position like Colleen Ballinger was probably shouldn't be openly communicating with child fans like this. And I also want to point out that Howie Mandel, anytime I think about him in the modern age, I immediately just think back to that TikTok video he posted like a year ago, where he had a picture of this dude whose entire fell out of his anus, and Howie was in the corner with a selfie saying, "Hey guys, this just happened to my buddy Eric. Do any of you know if this is COVID related? Is this a symptom? Let me know in the comments." Dude just dropped a fresh 2022 Goatsy, a brand new prolapse out of nowhere, and it had me giggling. So anytime I see him, I immediately just, in my mind's eye, picture that picture with Howie's face next to it. I don't know if that's how his show is, like if he has that kind of content on his show. I imagine not, because I don't think JoJo Siwa would agree to be on like an explicit show like that, since she is a like child star and makes exclusively family-friendly content, I believe. So I don't think that's how his show goes, but I just want to point out, like, if it is, what a crazy collaboration for JoJo Siwa to go on that kind of show. That'd be like Hellraiser collabing with Fortnite for a skin.
And I'm just saying this as a parent again. You said you started communicating with her when you were 12.
Yes.
You want to be a
But you
parent?
guys were in the same industry.
So we were
too.
in the
like,
same-
You guys were making videos and stuff together.
So
right?
we actually met.
I'm just going to summarize the story JoJo tells here. It's about how her and Colleen Ballinger met. Basically, when Dance Moms was airing, which JoJo was a star of, I suppose, they didn't get invited to a party. Colleen Ballinger caught wind of it, saw that they were upset that they weren't invited, tried to make it up to them, and they all got dinner.
Colleen was telling me that night about YouTube and how her whole family did it and how it was awesome and she vlogs her life. And that night is when I went home and I made my YouTube channel and decided that that was going to be my career, essentially. And
That's a wonderful, sweet, appropriate story.
yes.
I think Howie's right. This story isn't alarming. They got dinner. It wasn't just Colleen and JoJo, it was others as well. And Colleen was talking about YouTube as a platform and ended up inspiring JoJo Siwa to start her own YouTube channel. That's not concerning. What is concerning is staying in constant communication with this adult that allegedly had no boundaries with the children that she would frequently communicate with. That's not normal, and that's not okay.
How is it for you now being her friend and reading some of what we read? Do you think it's all a lie? Do you think it's like, have you talked to her?
There have been a lot of people on the internet who have gotten hit with this cancellation. And a lot of them I know, some of them I don't know.
Only like 3 ago, you did point blank say, lie. You did drop the hard L on that one. You did say lie. But now you're kind of backpedaling it a little bit here, so it's not as aggressive. She's now going through the cancel culture spiel, and the way she talks about it makes it sound like it's some type of infection, like a virus. We've seen this type of cancellation a million times in the lab. It's a particularly insidious one, unfortunate for Colleen Ballinger. It's just a very odd thing for JoJo to say, because it feels like she's almost blaming the people that came with all of this evidence about years and years of inappropriate behavior.
And I look at it and I see that this is a sensitive subject. Somebody who is affected by any sort of anything having to do with adults, and I mean, for real, grooming it's a very sensitive thing.
You must have really young people reaching out to you now.
Howie threw her a life raft right there. He put the water wingies on her because she was drowning, trying to somehow spin some kind of explanation for why she thinks this is all a bunch of baloney. Like, she's calling dirty barnacles on this whole thing. She said that, you know, the internet ran with a lie, and she's saying cancel culture and all of that, but she's not really expanding on that in any meaningful way. It just feels like she had this image of Colleen because they were close, apparently. And she's refusing to hear from victims that came with their own experiences with Colleen that are very different from the one she experienced. So she's writing it all off as being some kind of attack, some unjust, malicious attack from bad actors.
She's cool, you know? And I think the problem is the internet was able to capitalize off of her cancellation, and they still are, and they still are continuing to, and it's not okay because a lot of it is based off of lies, and it is
a scary place when you put yourself. It was one thing, you know, I came to television, which is
I wish she would explain what the lies are then, because if she has evidence that debunks all of this, it'd be extremely invaluable, and I'm sure Colleen would really appreciate it, because she's not doing anything to defend herself. That ukulele apology video offered nothing. She was too focused on delivering a Billboard top-end track, a Grammy-winning toxic gossip train jingle that would distract people, I guess. Like, they'd be too focused on the heater of a song that she delivers that they'll forget all about the accusations and behavior and all of that. Like, she didn't actually defend herself at any point so far. When, if she's innocent, if all of these things truly are lies like you say they are, she should want to. There is a lot of evidence. There are videos that she sent. And unless that's deepfaked, that's a very hard thing to prove is wrong or justified in any way. So the fact that JoJo's defending her so adamantly and claiming it's all lies and it's just the internet capitalizing off her cancellation is pretty wild. To try and defend the indefensible it's a Herculean task. But she's going for it. Again, if all of it is made up, then eventually, hopefully the truth comes out, I suppose, because right now, it really does seem like everything Colleen has been accused of has substantial evidence behind the claims, whereas there is nothing to the contrary that proves that, no, all of this isn't real and we shouldn't trust it. So, I mean, I'm of course going to keep my finger on the pulse here and wait and see if any new developments in this whole situation continues going. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this because I found it to be a pretty surprising segment here. That's about it. See ya. I'm sure most of you know by now, I love watching bad YouTuber apologies, and they're all horrible. I swear to God, the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's appear more emotional than the YouTubers when they're apologizing. It is the goofiest in the world, but that has nothing on TikTok apologies. They're in a totally different dimension, a realm all of their own. It's like everyone on TikTok has been trained by Tommy Wiseau when it comes to acting. Like, it literally sounds and looks like NPCs in Skyrim communicating. Like, there was a dude who got outed as like a child predator, and his apology, his response video was him reading off of note cards like he was in middle school giving a presentation on like chemical bonds. And he's just sitting there, he's like, yes, I did this, but doesn't mean you can be mean to me. Flips. Please stop being mean to me. Flips. Like, it's crazy. So recently, about 5 or 6 months ago, a TikTok star named Sienna May was accused of another TikTok star named Jack Wright. There were videos that came out that showed Sienna doing questionable things to Jack Wright's body while he was unconscious, and there's just a lot of evidence that led to these allegations against her. And recently, like 5 or 6 days ago, he made a video finally going over everything, and it's really sad. It is really just a very sad, awful situation. And I actually knew about this about 5 or 6 months ago because she released the worst apology video I think I've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly. I feel like I say that every time a new apology video comes out, but somehow they just keep getting worse. And I don't think anything's gonna beat Sienna May's. She took it down today, unfortunately, so the only way I'm going to be able to show it to you is when we watched it on stream, twitch.tv/moistcritical. Come stop by, put a few extra inches on your, put a link in the description. So I'm going to show you that and then go over it a bit further. So I do remember her because Mr. Beard made a video on her apology. We even watched the apology on stream. She's the one that did the interpretive dance. I'm young and did nothing wrong. With this allegation. I remember her now.
I decided to take a month off of social media due to the negativity surrounding my platform. It was honestly one of the most difficult times in my life for many reasons. But through struggle, I found clarity within myself and with who
And then
I
she
want
hits
to
a
surround myself
Gangnam
with.
Style here.
Life in this life is-
Right away, I love how she says taking a month off social media was the hardest time in her life. What a privileged life to live where that's your biggest struggle. You can't go on TikTok for a month. What a nightmare. You'll soon notice this isn't really an apology video, it's just like a ballet recital. She doesn't really say sorry for anything at all, and she makes herself the victim in the situation. Like, I had to take a whole month off social media. I just needed to clear my head from all the negativity, which I didn't deserve.
To create. And whether that's silly TikTok dances or showing unedited photos of myself, creating and inspiring, now more than ever, I feel proud of the person that I am. Even if I can only inspire one person, I will have done what I was put on this earth to do.
Yeah, this is all very inspirational. It's motivated me to climb a mountain. But what does it have to do with anything at all? I mean, yeah, this is obviously very powerful. It's putting tears in my eyes with how motivational it is, but what does it have to do with anything? It doesn't address anything. It does nothing. This is like if the feds came up to me and they're like, "Hey, Charlie, we caught you on camera burning down this Toys R Us. We know you're an arsonist. We have it right here." And my response is, I just love to create. I love to inspire and show unedited photos of myself. And if I can just inspire one person, then I'll have done what I set out on this earth to do. Hit him with the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dance. Like, oh God, guess we got the wrong guy. He's not guilty, he just popped and locked on us.
We're all learning and growing, and more than anything, I'm beyond thankful for my family, friends, partnerships, and supporters.
I love how she
It's
shouts out her
something
sponsors
that
in
I
the
think a lot of
apology.
people my age can relate to. I hope this can inspire you.
I was very inspired. Not a single apology here, making sure to let the sponsors know that she still appreciates them so they don't feel left out here. Overall, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. That is about as good as it gets, I'd say. The song she chose couldn't have been worse, I'd say. Like, the very end is, "I did nothing wrong, I'm young." And she's accused of, like, this is probably not the song you'd want to use. Feels really off, given this for why she's doing this. It's really a weird choice. It almost feels like she's rubbing Jack's face in the whole situation. She makes herself the victim and then tries to spin this whole thing as a way of making herself like the hero of the story. Like, I had to take a whole month off social media, but now I'm back to inspire. Now, even beyond this horribly choreographed Broadway dance number, she released a series of videos saying the allegations were false and lies, just outright denying any of it ever happened, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. So the whole thing has been just a big, gross mess. But yeah, I mainly just wanted to show you that apology because I think it's going to be a pretty tough one for someone to beat. This was very egotistical, and it wasn't an apology. I don't know why I even keep calling it that. This was her, like, victim blaming and making the whole situation a way of trying to like become more popular from it almost. I don't know. It was just stupid, and I just had to at least show you all this whole situation, and that's about it. So yeah. Right now there's a Twitch streamer getting tomatoes thrown at him all across Twitter for a clip that's going viral of him having an horrible response to one of his community members answering a question that he asked them.
In Spanish, and it's chef's kiss. All right. Curvy, where the have you been? Oh my God. Well, tell you what, Miss Dirty Curvy, you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to talk about it in my chat because it's Friday, and that is a whole big bucket of bummer.
And his response is a big barrel of butt cheeks. So to give context to this situation here on the lore, this was a regular viewer of this streamer, an avid supporter who had taken a bit of a hiatus and was unfortunately going through a very hard time with her mother. So, when he saw that she was back, he asked her, "Oh, where have you been?" To which she just answered honestly, her mother had away, so, you know, it was a bit of a tough time. That's why she was taking a break. And then for some reason, this must have input a cheat code into the streamer's brain that just sent him into, like, debate club. He, for some reason, then just goes into, like, this TED Talk about how you shouldn't answer his question if your answer is sad because it brings down the vibes of the stream. It's baffling because you had asked her, and she just answered your question honestly. I'll play a bit more of the clip before getting into it, but I want to make it clear early on that I understand a lot of streamers have a similar perspective where you don't really want someone in chat that's just talking about like a really traumatic experience they're going through, because it's not really the place for it, and the streamer's not the... Like, I do get that perspective, but there's a difference between like just a random person treating Twitch chat like it's their psychiatrist and you asking someone a question and them answering honestly, especially when it's a member of the community that you already kind of know to a certain level. I don't understand why you're all of a sudden getting mad at them for answering that.
And I'm sorry for your loss, but we're not doing that in my chat. Thank you. Well, okay, Miss Dirty Curvy, you said, no, that's fine. You asked, so I told. No, I didn't ask you to tell me the biggest bummer news in the world. I said, hey, what's up? How are you? You know what? Let me give you a little bit of a lesson, Miss Nerdy Curvy. When really, really bad is going on in your life, and in a public forum, someone asks you, hey, what's up? How are you? There are two acceptable responses. Good, and you know what? I'll make it through. That's it.
So you want to just talk to NPCs that only have 2 dialogue options. Okay? Then why bother trying to communicate with a human being? Like, okay, give them a script. Make sure your community has the acceptable answer script to my stupid questions. I don't actually care where you've been. Like, just tell me one of these 2 canned responses. Like, this is so dumb. And I also love the audacity. Let me give you a lesson here on how to handle my questions going. It's just so laughable that he's acting like some kind of social savant here about how to handle public conversations and what you're allowed to say. You're a Twitch streamer, man. All of us as streamers are not exactly the most socially gifted. Like, let's just face the facts here. So why are you trying to act like the authority on the matter here, as if you're some kind of social guru who's now giving a lecture to your community about what is and is not allowed in a public conversation? It's goofy. It's very silly.
How are you? Good? Or, you know what? I'll make it through. Awesome. Love to hear it. See, there you go. Or Prom's response. Yeah, I said, Prom, how are you doing? She says, I'm alive.
You know what's just as easy as those 2 responses is you being able to respond with some level of empathy like, oh man, that's terrible, I'm sorry to hear that. Or, damn, that's awful news, stay strong. Or, man, that's terrible, hopefully today's stream can lift your spirits a bit. Like, you also have equally easy responses to, like, instead of dwell on the negative here and for some reason try and shame her for answering your question honestly, you could have just as easily had a very simple and empathetic response to it and moved on from it. But instead, now you're putting all of it on her and blaming her for bringing down the entire atmosphere, as if she somehow forced you to enter your goofo mode here, your insano style tantrum that you're throwing. Like, it is your fault. You could have either not asked the question if you didn't want, like, real answers, or you could have had some level of empathy and just given, like, a general, decent response like, damn, awful news, sorry to hear that, stay strong. And then just go about, like, a good vibed stream. Like, it's super easy.
Oh, I asked you where you were. Look, Mr. Curvy, I'm just subtly trying to tell you that unloading really heavy news in people's chats on Twitch is not like good etiquette. It's not the place to do it. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Heavy news like that, when someone asks, hey, where have you been? You don't need to tell them, well, my husband left me for a younger woman, my house burnt down, and my car got stolen. So I've been a little bit busy. That's why I haven't been around. Because it's like, oh, God, like, ugh.
Oh, God, your bad news is making my easy job just a little stressful, because now I've heard your bad news, like, ugh. Like, can you have some level of shame? Can you stop having bad things happen to you and then share it with me when I ask? Like, God, where do you get off? What a stupid perspective, bro. What are you talking about? That's not even what they did. You asked them a question and they gave a simple response to it. Now, for a little further context, she, in her first response, accidentally led with, like, a laughing emotion. So she led with, like, LMAO because she was responding to, like, a joke he had told and then answered his question about her mom. Anyway, she got a little concerned that it was going to be misconstrued like she was joking about that. So then she clarified again that, no, like, it's just been a rough time. It's just been horrible. So she said it like twice or 3 times in total, but it was never to dwell on it or try and treat him like a treat chat like it was a self-help subredditor. She just answered his question but didn't like her first answer because she thought it might get misconstrued, so then just said like, no, it's just been bad, and that's where it was. She didn't try and like keep pressing it further or anything. For some reason he did. He took it and ran with it and made it an overwhelmingly negative thing and then shamed her publicly in front of the entire community for it, which is so weird and terrible thing to do. Now, like I said in the very beginning, I do understand the perspective of not wanting your community to treat it like it's like a therapy session where they're dropping really heavy things going on in their personal lives into the Twitch chat or asking you to solve the problems for them. I do agree that that is just not the time nor the place, and that's not going to help the person either. That's not going to help them or anyone else around you that needs like professional help and someone to actually be there and qualified to give real helpful advice to that person that's struggling. And Twitch chat is the last place you'd want to go for anything real. So I do agree, like, that is never a good case, like that's never a good situation to be in, but that's not the situation this streamer was in. He had asked a community member that he knew a question, and it was a personal question. Where have you been? Now I'm waiting for your answer. And they explained, well, it's just been a bad time because her mom went away. And that's it. She didn't like keep going about it, like to try and like make it all about what she's going through. She just answered his question point blank. And for some reason he went off the rails about it.
Like, you know, like if someone asks, like, hey, what's up? Where have you been? And it's heavy, just be like, I had a bunch of going on, so I've been lying low for a little while. Got it. That's it. I'm not trying to rip you a new.
Yeah, not trying to rip you a new, just trying to do in front of the entire stream. The lack of here. Buddy, that is kind of exactly what she did, but instead of just saying, I've got something I'm going through, so I was lying low, she said, well, family member away, so I was lying low. That's it. She didn't continue to, like, go through the nitty-gritty on everything that happened. She did almost exactly what you said, but was a little more specific on exactly what that was. But in essence, it's the same thing. Would you have still melted down if she had said, I had a lot of bad, horrible things happen, so I was laying low for a bit? I don't think so. You probably would have just given a normal, like, decent human response like, man, sorry to hear that. Hope that clears up soon. Why couldn't you have had that same level-headed, rational response to her just being a bit more specific with what that horrible thing she was going through was? She didn't just dump everything on you and expect you to you know, like, coddle her or do special. Like, she just answered your question. So this is where the viral clip ends, but he did have a response to this, and it's really worse than you're probably imagining. But before getting to his response, I want to hit you with a bucket of cold water to shock you with some statistics here. 93% of all Twitch streamers pull less than 5 viewers, so anything more than 5 immediately puts you in the top 6.7% of the site. These are old numbers too. These are from 2021, so I imagine this is only grown. So why am I bringing this up? Well, because the streamer who right now is catching more tomatoes than the goddamn Heinz ketchup factory is not a huge streamer. At least not by most people on Twitter's definition of a big streamer. He has around 55 average viewers, and to put that in perspective, that does put him in the top 1% of Twitch, at least based on the numbers I'm seeing. Because again, the vast majority of streamers are streaming to actually 0 people. Crickets. You have better luck getting your old high school to watch your Facebook live stream than you do getting found on Twitch and starting a community from nothing. So everyone that's just writing him off as a nobody and small streamers, who cares what they are saying or what their opinion is, I hate that perspective, and I will always hate that perspective. The mentality around numbers is so, like, up these days that they can't recognize how big of a number 55 average viewers is. Like, yes, it's not the biggest streamers on Twitch, but that's still a pretty large number when put in perspective with how big the market is and how saturated it is. But this ties into the bigger point I want to make on the back of those numbers. The market being as saturated as it is, carving out a community being as tough as it is, the last thing you want to do is get up, which is exactly what this guy has just done. He's currently streaming right now with like 140 viewers, which is more than he normally averages, but I imagine the majority of this is hate watchers hoping to just on him in the chat. And I've already seen it from a couple of his subs. Some people were saying how disappointed they were in him. And that's a really big deal, because when you have a really tight-knit community, once the viewers start feeling like you don't actually give a fuck about them at all, or that you're kind of a piece of, they probably won't stick around because there's so many other streamers that they'll just go to. So this will potentially end up being a huge problem for him. His first response was this on Twitter, where he's just taking full responsibility for being an, which I guess is fine. Like, he's just saying, yeah, it just was a real piece of here. But then 12 hours later, he made an apology video and doubled down on everything from his initial Twitter clip.
Firstly, it is well known in my channel that I do not tolerate heavy news, drama, or trauma dumping, if you will, being entered or dropped into the chat. This has been discussed and explained and made clear many times while I've been live over the last 4+ years that I've been on Twitch. The people that come to my channel often, they know this. They see it all the time. So that's that I want to make sure everyone understands.
He directly blames her for his terms of service for being a chatter, basically, saying, I have very strict rules, you're not allowed to vibes with bad news or anything drama-related or heavy. Okay, then don't ask questions that could potentially lead to, like, someone being honest with you, man. Not everything in the world is going to be sunshine and rainbows. So why ask a question to your viewers that they might just be open about if you don't want to actually hear it? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and why are you blaming her? You're blaming the victim here in this situation. What a terrible look. When you had already in your previous tweet sang a very different tune, where you're like, yeah, this one's kind of on me, I was a douchebag. What changed? All of a sudden now, you woke up this morning and you feel like you're not a douchebag, you're a superhero. In fact, she's the villain because she didn't follow your strict chat rules.
This is not the first time that she's violated the expectation that people not share heavy news in my channel. The frustration from having her argue in chat that she was, quote, just answering my question, even though she's been spoken to about this type of thing before.
Calling this an apology is a disservice to apologies. He is literally just justifying his reaction and saying it's all her fault. She violated our expectation of her in chat and then said she has a history of doing it. And in her statement, one of her twit-longers, she clarifies a bit deeper on what he's talking about. And he's pretty misleading with the way he portrays what happened here. Again, you asked her a question, she answered it. So the quote, I was just answering your question, is very accurate because that is all she was doing, man.
Frowned upon. Dude, I'm getting follows right now. From Joe JCKS. Bro Chacho, welcome to the channel, dude. Thanks for the follow. Yeah.
He even acknowledges that maybe he should edit that out and then decides not to. You should have edited that out. That's what a big yikes moment there. In your apology, not an apology, in your blaming, pointing the finger video, you get a follower, take a moment to say thanks for the follow and like just call out the follower during this. What a bad look. How could you not recognize that as a potential problem? But regardless, the actual video he has made here is not a good response. It is somehow even worse than the initial one with the doubling down and trying to justify it. Like, just have an obvious common sense level-headed response like, yep, I overreacted, this was stupid, I shouldn't have done that, I don't even know what I was thinking, I must have just been in a bad mood. Like it was just so easy to move on from this, but instead you doubled down and now you look real silly for it. That's about it. So yeah. Yeah, so I think the YouTube makeup or beauty community, I'm not sure on the proper nomenclature, is just terrible right now. You can tell just from looking at me that I'm not big into the makeup or beauty world, but I do like to keep my cheeks spread so I can stay updated and filled in on information on YouTube drama, and the makeup and beauty side of all of that never has any shortage of that. Taddy Westbrook released another 40 video today, which is supposed to be some kind of pseudo-apology and explanation for why she tried to ruin James Charles's life last year. And it's pretty rough. It's like having a hemorrhoid. It's kind of painful. It's pretty boring. Really, the only purpose this video would serve is if you have insomnia and need help falling asleep. It is unnecessarily long. Like, this whole thing could have been summarized in 1 or 2 tweets if she wanted to. I don't really know why it's 40 long. And it's her reading a legal statement that she's prepared, and it's pretty painful. It's like she's reading the terms and conditions when signing up to Spotify. In fact, I wish it was just 40 of Taddy reading the terms and conditions when signing up to Spotify. It'd be more genuine and engaging. This has every cliche of a YouTuber apology, a lot of fake crying, and a lot of the blame and deflecting. She keeps talking about how terrible Shane and Jeffrey were for this whole thing, and that it's really just kind of mainly their fault and she was just an innocent victim of their manipulation. But really the whole video just feels pretty manipulative from her here as well. I'll show you an excerpt, a couple excerpts from it, just so you get an idea of what the entire 40s is like.
I promised my dad I wasn't gonna cry. I've been trying to feel... Can't do this. I've been trying to feel strong enough to do this video because I want to feel strong. I never said that James Charles was a danger to society. My video was not made with any malice.
But you did. That was the whole purpose of your video last year, was painting James Charles as a menace to society and some kind of supervillain. You saying you didn't post that video with malice is like me saying 5'6" isn't short for a man. It's just a lie. It's a lie I'm telling myself, and I've convinced myself. I know I'm short, Taddy. You don't need to rub it in. This whole video is just useless. It's been nearly a full year since you soaked up roughly 5 million subscribers off your video lying about James Charles. Why are you coming with this now? What the is the point? Handle it privately. It is a matter that should have been handled privately. But for some reason, there's so many huge egos in this beauty and makeup community where they have to feel like everyone loves them and they present themselves as this perfect person, this benevolent ruler of all things beauty related. So she felt compelled to make this video to try and put herself in the best light. Like, hey, look at me taking responsibility for this thing that happened a long time ago. Look at how good of a person I am.
I did not publicly air any of the horrific accusations that were being made behind the scenes. While I was definitely upset that he had accepted a sponsorship from the biggest rival to my brand, Halo Beauty, I did not make my video because of vitamins. I made it as a result of all of the poisonous lies that were fed to me by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star.
Yeah, this is what I think the actual purpose of this video is, just to deflect blame off of herself and place it onto Shane and Jeffree. I didn't want to make that video about James Charles. I was manipulated into it by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. They were the puppet masters, and I was simply the marionette dancing for them. They fed me these poisonous lies, and I had no choice but to make this video lying about James Charles of my own free will, and post it of my own free will. It's just silly. Taddy is nearly 40 years old, and she knows what she's doing. She knew what she was doing with the James Charles situation, and I really think the only reason she's made this video breaking her silence about all of it is because right now Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are getting absolutely annihilated, just straight blasted for a ton of terrible, awful things they've done in their past, and Taddy wanted to dogpile on top of it to score some subscribers off of the drama and present herself as the good person in the situation. How she was innocent in the James Charles case because she was getting fed lies by these two people who everyone hates right now. But that excuse doesn't really work because the thing you were initially mad about in your first video was the fact James Charles took a different vitamin sponsor than your company or whatever the f you sell, vitamin C cream to rub on the rim of your eye to improve hearing. I don't know what the f your businesses do. But you were mad because he didn't go with your business and instead looked elsewhere, so you felt personally attacked, and wasn't that like one of the main points you made? That has nothing to do with any lies Shane and Jeffree may have fed you. That was entirely your decision to make that like the focal point of the last video on why you were so mad at him. At least I think. It is so hard to even know what the drama is with Taddy. Watching her 40 videos here is like having a mediocre dream where you wake up and can only remember bits and pieces of it. By the time you finish one of these Taddy videos, you forget you even watched the video. It's like you got hit by a Men in Black neuralizer and just forgot the whole thing. It is so boring, and she's terrible at even making her points clear on what she's trying to say or what is even actually going on. It just seems all so vague. And in this video, she doesn't take really any responsibility. She says I'm sorry multiple times, but none of it even feels real because it's sandwiched in between. But remember, Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are bad, and they made me do these bad things. And her having these fake crying episodes in the apology and saying things like, I'm sorry, Dad, I promised you I wouldn't cry. I promised my dad I wouldn't cry? What the? You called your dad on the phone? Hey, Dad, you remember that time that I tried to ruin the life of a young man? Yeah, well, I'm finally going to apologize for that, kind of, and look, I'm going to do my best not to cry. I'm going to try and be strong, alright? For most people, Taddy, saying I'm sorry isn't a feat of strength and bravery. It's common courtesy as a human being to take responsibility for... I've never understood the perspective where people pat someone on the back for saying I'm sorry or that they're wrong. I think that should just be human nature. When you are wrong about it, you say, look, up, and this was wrong. Okay, good, that should be what's expected. You can say, thank you, hey, thanks, you know, I'm glad you took some responsibility. But to make it feel like it's some kind of Herculean task to say, you're sorry? It's just such a bad look. The makeup community is just so full of narcissists. Taddy starts this video like, hey, I know you guys haven't seen me in a little while, even though it's only been like a month and a half. Hey, I know you guys have missed me so much because I'm so great. And look, I'm really sorry you haven't seen as much of me as you want to see of me, and you deserve to see more of me. And then she gets into the video. It's just, I just don't get it. I don't understand why people in the makeup and beauty community follow people like this that clearly just don't even care about them and just view them as a number or a sale on their makeup. And even in this apology video, I think she shouts out her own brands at least like 10 or 12 times. I honestly felt like I was just watching a long-winded infomercial or some kind of meta commercial to sell her products. It just doesn't sit right with me. If you're going to apologize for and you need to mention a brand, just say my company. Why do you have to shout out the brand and what you do and what your mission is? I'm not trying to read the about section on your goddamn vitamin website. Just say, look, this is the company, this is what happened, and I'm sorry. But instead, she goes into this like almost sales pitch like I'm on Shark Tank about to invest in it. Or it's just, I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't understand. And I don't know why it has to be 40 every time with her. I guess just to milk as much revenue out of it as possible. Couldn't tell you. Have no idea. But I sat through this thing and it felt like a goddamn, I honestly feel like wasting someone's time like this, it should be illegal. 40 worth of nothing. Nothing but deflecting blame and insincerely taking responsibility almost in certain areas. I don't know. Makeup community and the beauty community's got some real bad actors in it. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm guessing it's this one. That is the... I don't want to just keep pausing it, but a PSA to anyone. Never start an apology video like that. That is the most cliche ever. I'm surprised he doesn't have a dog on his lap. Rough. The sigh. If he follows it up by saying, I didn't want to have to make this video, I'm going to lose my mind.